We're still good with this, right?
Yeah. Things aren't always worth the price you pay for them.
I am here at Heartland Film Festival with the filmmaking team behind A Simple Machine, which is screening at Heartland through this weekend and streaming on throughout this weekend. Welcome to Indiana, to Indianapolis on this very gloomy, rainy Saturday. Could you introduce yourselves, tell me your roles in the film, and a little bit about the film?
I'm Mark Hoffman, and I'm the director, writer, also editor on the film. It's a project I've been working on off and on for the last 12 years. I discovered this novel at one of our local bookstores. I mean, is it okay to go into it?
Oh, yeah, no, go, please.
Or let Alyssa introduce herself real quick.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Roehrenbeck. I'm a producer of several on A Simple Machine.
So, it's a book that I found about 12 years ago in a local bookstore. I really liked it. I reached out to the author to see if I could adapt it for a film, and luckily he was really into the idea, and we worked on that off and on for a number of years, and then the screenplay just sort of sat around until after the pandemic. Just the themes in the screenplay just became a lot more relevant, and so that's when I decided to really go back and rewrite some of the things to make it more fit within the kind of current time period post-pandemic. And then I met Alyssa a couple of years ago to see if she would be interested in working on an indie project. And this is something that we kind of brought about all ourselves, a very grassroots local project from Portland, Oregon. Definitely, 100% local filmmaking, and that's kind of how it got made.
Nice. And so a lot of what kind of blows my mind after you saying that is that it's based on a novel that was obviously published before the pandemic and everything. The way that the pandemic plays a role in the film early on, it's very much kind of takes place in the waning days of the pandemic, I would say. And you just like the documenting of it in that way feels just so authentic and real. And I like, was there any like consideration that you made when working toward that, like anything that you had to consider within implementing the pandemic into the film?
A lot, yeah. I mean, he wrote a story about someone kind of coming of age film about someone trying to decide what they wanted to do in life, but also dealing with the economic pressures, which at that time was like, more like the financial meltdown from the 2008, 2009. But that all easily fit within the pandemic. And so just rewriting it, being in Portland at that time, seeing what was happening around me, it just made it it was all just right in front of me. And also the change in Portland, which I think a change everywhere, was just seeing, a huge amount of people going unhoused, and just the reality of that, and just so hard to afford housing was a huge thing.
Just the cost of living is
in
just
general,
ridiculous in general, yeah. And that's something that I came away from this film feeling like it's kind of a multifaceted, just drama about this central character who is going through a lot. And I found myself like really relating to several points in the movie and his journey. And part of that is this level of internalized grief that he seems to have, and how the way that, not to get into spoilers or anything, but there is a death close to him. The circumstances of that death are very cold and distant because of the general pandemic of it all. Yeah. But before that, we see the living conditions of that individual, and I just felt so connected with that urge to rid yourself of material possessions and rid yourself of, like, to pare down everything in an effort to get out of debt and just lead a mentally healthier life at the expense of the people around you in a lot of ways. So I don't know. Well, I don't really have a question for that. Just
Yeah, no, it's
just a compliment. Yeah. And did you take any of that into consideration, like the grief aspect versus the just drowning in debt aspect?
For sure. And that was why, and I guess we can bring up his mother character. That's not going to spoil things.
Yeah, I hope not.
But to contrast what he was going through and wanting to shed everything in his life to his mother, who was sort of doing the opposite. And, we don't really get too in depth, but you see her circumstance, you understand that she's a hoarder. And so to see those two different extremes, was also a way to help explain, well, why would this character go to the extreme of trying to shed everything? I think we all, to some extent, have those instincts to want to shed things to make our lives simpler.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why it was, in a way, fun to have that character, to do it vicariously through him, where he just sheds everything. What's going to happen? But try to do it in a realistic way as possible, because he's not necessarily against consumer culture, because he still has to exist within it. We all do. But he's figuring out how much he can pare it down. And he's almost looking at it mathematically, and that's what's really interesting in the book, is how this character just, almost does it like a scientist. Like, he figures out this formula: things and stuff equals freedom spent. And once he figures out that formula, he's going to try to see how far he can go with it and what that means. It doesn't mean that he doesn't still have things in his life, because he still needs things, and we all need to consume to continue to live. But he's going to pare it down as much as he can.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alyssa, how did you come on board the project? Like, what attracted you to the film?
I think in general, I get emails all the time from people, but I think in my career as a producer, what's become really, really important to me is only doing the projects that mean something to me, or really working on things that mean something to me. And I think we got introduced from another fellow colleague of ours, sort of like, hey, you guys might work well together. And then they sent me the script, and like sort of after I read the script, it was just like, okay, I'm in. But we put together a really tight team of people. I think we're like a big family now, and we were lucky enough to make it at a time when we were able to get like some of the top talented people in Portland to work on the film. So I think when you watch it, you really see that. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah, and that lead performance, what is the actor's name? I'm so sorry.
His name is Richard Blackman, and he should be a star already.
It was incredible. Like, that performance is so, like I said, kind of very internalized, very just like really carrying a lot. And there's a scene late in the film, I'm not going to give anything away, but there is a scene late in the film where, after he has kind of distanced himself from loved ones, he and his girlfriend have a conversation on a porch. And the just gut punch of that moment is so, like, I kind of haven't stopped thinking about it since seeing it like 2 nights ago. Just the way that it goes one way that I wasn't expecting, but also like the way that it weaves in so much of the plot thus far, and really just brings home like the weight of his actions and how he's responding to things in his life. And I just think that was just an incredible scene. Again, not a question, just comment.
Richard is an amazing actor. Part now that makes me want to, try to put this film out there in the world is people need to see him, and he needs to get more roles and more films. He's so talented. Also physically, he had to ride this bike, and this is a small production. We couldn't necessarily have the stunt people or other ways. Like, he was fully engaged and ready to go for it and ride this bike. Don't want to give away anything, but he was amazing on both as a physical actor and an emotional one as well.
He also sort of like it was really awesome to see Mark and Richard work together all the way from like the beginning, before we were even like together in Portland. Like Richard, they started talking about the script and working on things. And I think one of my funnest or best memories from the project is actually the day that we did the voiceover recording. And everybody went back and forth tons of times about how much voiceover should be in the movie, where should voiceover go. I don't know how many times Mark rewrote voiceovers, but it had to be hundreds sometimes. But then we got to this moment where we were like recording the last piece of the voiceover work, and we kind of didn't really know where it should go. And then sort of Richard just took it and I honestly started tearing up like the moment we were recording it, because it was just the perfect, most beautiful way to put it. And it was a really, really great experience.
Yeah. Yeah, one more thing to say about Richard, which we knew he was the right person. He was not a child actor, was not into acting. He really had a lot of life experiences, also some experiences on a bike where he crashed, which I didn't know about. And so part of this whole movie process was him getting comfortable back on a bike again. But he played college football, was more of an athlete. And so it just made it very easy to work, almost like coach him. And that was kind of why we brought him on, just such an easygoing person, easy person to work with. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I also want to highlight and talk a bit about the black and white photography of the film. And something that blew my mind at the Q&A at the screening on Thursday was that was something that wasn't officially determined or didn't get the final go ahead until in the editing process. And again, just compliment, I was so surprised by that, because it looks absolutely gorgeous. And it looks like if you were to tell me that, oh, this was not shot specifically with the idea from the get-go to be in black and white, I would not have, there was no way I would have believed you. I kind of can't right now anyway, but it's so strikingly beautiful in the visuals of it, especially when you see protest scenes. And there are a couple very just mesmerizing dream-ish sequences that I think just really sing in the black and white photography. So can you talk a little bit about the choice to cut it in black and white and have it be in black and white?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. That seems like the main question. Actually, it wasn't totally decided. Yeah, it wasn't totally decided until the edit, but it was probably 90% decided, because midway through shooting, and there was something that the DP, that's the reason why it looks so beautiful. He's an amazing DP, Kevin Fletcher. He knew early on he wanted it to be black and white right from the very beginning when he read the script, and we talked about it, and I questioned it, not just more so because I love Portland so much, and I wanted to see all these beautiful images of Portland in full color, and I just wasn't quite sure about it. And then midway through the filming, Kevin, before shooting one day, he basically came up to me and said, if we don't shoot this in black and white, I don't know if I can work if we don't focus on black and white, I don't know if I can work on this anymore, because I feel so strongly about it. Because at that time we were monitoring the image, with the monitor. You can easily switch it from color to black and white. So we were looking at things as, a color picture and then a black and white picture, and we kept going back and forth, and it became really hard for him. He's like, we have to only look at this in black and white now. And he was right. There's a lot of reasons for it being black and white, but it was nice that we came to that decision organically rather than just this is how it has to be right away. I think it made us think much deeper about why it should be that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was something that struck me about it in the beginning, that first act of the movie where we're more in the pandemic era, we're in that, we see masks and everything, and it's very much in that pandemic time. I had this weird feeling where, I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but post 2020, time is irrelevant right now.
I think you're going to hit on exactly one of our reasons why we decided, for me, after he had told me, let's focus, it's a time capsule.
Yes.
And so making it almost feel historical, even when it's not, we're going to look back at that time, it's still not that far away from us. Right. But the world shifted. And so it's nice to have that little time capsule and almost give it a bit of, was another reason I thought it would be cool that it'd be
That's exactly what I was getting at with that. Like, it just felt like a document of a time, and it made me realize, like, wow, we're 5 years removed from the start of the pandemic, and like, it doesn't feel that long ago because it's such a societal shift that occurred, I feel. And just having it depicted that way and shown in that way in the film is really evocative of the time that has passed since then and continues to pass. And I just thought that was brilliant. I thought that was great. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that as well.
So I don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time because I know you guys got a screening.
What time is it now?
5:25. So got 20 minutes before your screening.
Yeah.
So scene 1, we've got. No, I'm kidding. But but I did want to ask how has your experience been here at Heartland in Indianapolis, and the weather notwithstanding right now.
So far, I mean, it's actually been a very busy. I just got in last night, and it feels like we're going from one event to the next. But we had a bike ride today, that was part of the goal of coming out here to see if we could connect with the bike community, which we're able to, and they were lovely people, and we just did a nice little bike ride before the rain came. So it was perfect. Alyssa's been here a little bit longer.
Yeah, this is actually my second film at this festival, and it's funny because I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Columbus, Ohio originally, so I obviously have a bias for the Midwest. Like, let's just be honest. However, the last movie I had here, I think about 3 years ago, we did a whole festival around that season, that fall. We went to like a whole bunch of festivals back to back to back. And all of us to this day on that filmmaking team say that our best experience was at Heartland. And we just loved how honest and open and just into just seeing movies people here are. And you don't get that in a lot of places. A lot of other film festivals can be really snooty and passive aggressive. And that's just not the experience that you have when you come to Heartland.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, because I've been covering Heartland and just like the film like community here in Indianapolis for like 12, 13 years now in several different ways. And Heartland has always been like, this is like the best time of year for me. I love doing this thing. I love meeting people like you guys and chatting about the art. And it's so interesting to see like how the film community in Indianapolis has grown over the years since I've been like active in my own little way here. It's just, it's amazing. So it warms my heart that you guys have had such a positive experience here. Yeah. And where can people find A Simple Machine online?
Well, first you should follow our Instagram, which you just go, if you put in A Simple Machine, it'll come up. You'll see Richard's face there, and you'll have to click on it. But yeah, you should follow our Instagram. That's really where we're going to be posting updates about the movie. And we're sort of still figuring out what's next. We have it out to a bunch of other festivals. We're hoping to play in some more festivals. And then I don't know, Mark, do you want to talk any more about what you're going to do with it after that?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about that before talking to you. I think the goal is just to try to get it in theaters, in art house theaters like this, like Can. And yeah, we just have to see about when we do that, maybe starting where the film originated in Portland, which has a great indie art house, a lot of indie film fans and a great bike community, and, see where it goes from there. But yeah, just go to the Instagram, follow us there, and that'll be a good place to keep up to date.
Perfect. And I did actually want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
The helmet aspect of it. It's such a fun running joke, but I feel like that's like I could mine it for some more like thoughtful things. Like, is he really fully into committing to doing this lifestyle change? But he's not getting a helmet. So like, is there something there? But
that was something that became, sometimes when you make a film, there are things that you have to, safety measures or certain logistical things you have to follow. And then the best, hopefully, those things turn into interesting story making possibilities. Yeah. And that's basically what happened. We wanted to be safe, you know, but to have him in a helmet the whole time was not as cinematic, you know, and also didn't play into his character of sort of discovering his path, that he was going to become a cyclist. He wasn't sure about it. So at first he's just riding out of necessity, you know, and he doesn't have a helmet yet. And so it kind of became a running joke that it was something that we had to think about a lot for safety reasons. Yeah. And then in the end actually became a story point, which was really fortuitous. And
I love how clean that is in the movie, because like my thought here with like, oh, it's not as cinematic with a helmet is like, that makes perfect sense, because like Spider-Man has to take off his mask in each movie he's in anyway.
Yeah, at some point you have to see the character's face.
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic film, and I thank you guys so much for your time and for bringing the film here to Heartland. I'm so eager for people to see it, and so excited to see what you guys do with it in the future and what's next. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, love
of
your
course.
questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.